Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Maddie. I am a part-time reseller on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. And in today's video, I am going over my gross total sales number in January of 2025. And I did say I am part-time. Right now I am very part-time. As some of you may know, I do teach first grade and it is definitely a busy season for us. Now that I'm back from winter break, we went straight into reading testing. My kids are doing incredible. I'm just so proud of all of the growth that they've made, and we're getting into like testing season for statewide testing for the upper grades and just a lot of trainings in the teaching world. If you are a teacher, you definitely know what the season is like. Plus, not to mention flu season. Like half of our school, I feel like, has currently been taken out by the flu. Fingers crossed, I have not been affected, but some of my poor little students have been home all week recovering, so just well wishes for everyone's health. But let's go ahead and get into my reselling numbers. The platform that performed the best is Poshmark, which is really consistent for me and my reselling model. On Poshmark, I sold 40 items for $483.01. A lot of those were bundle sales. And then on eBay, it was actually very close to my Poshmark numbers, and I definitely do have a much better average sell price over there because I don't have the same bundle function on eBay as I do on Poshmark. Whereas on Poshmark, I like to send out like a mass message. Yes, I'm one of those people. I'm sorry if that annoys you. And just kind of like advertise that I'm running a sale in my closet. On eBay, you can offer coupons and you can send a message, but it's not nearly as effective from what I've noticed. So on eBay, I sold 14 items for a total of $410.30. So still very good. My eBay store had been down for a very long time because I was not doing my due diligence and cross-listing over there, and I noticed that it definitely did affect the sales that I was getting. So to see that number starting to trickle closer to Poshmark is definitely very uplifting. And then I had one sale on Pango Books. Pango Books is just where you can resell books. I resell books on eBay and Poshmark as well, but Pango Books is obviously catered just towards books. As you guys know, I am an avid reader, so typically whenever I finish a book, I just resell it. Even if it's like my favorite book in the world, I will either loan it out and tell my friend like, hey, just keep it, don't even worry about it, or resell it, because I know for me, like if I'm going to reread it, I'm probably going to do so in form of an audiobook. So I would rather my book go to a new home than just collect dust on my shelf. But that is definitely something that is just like specific to me. I know my husband, he is a collector. He will never like actually watch or read something again, but just because he loved it so much, he wants it on his shelf to just view it. And it's really interesting how people like differ in that aspect. But all that to say, I did sell one book on Pango Books. It was Do My Key by Stephen King, and that brings my grand total for the month of January to 55 items sold, and that totaled to $897.55. So considering I honestly have not put all too much time into reselling, like I am definitely happy with that number. I think I went sourcing maybe 4 times this month and listed about 30 to 40 items. I would have to look to get it super specific. I can pop that number up right here, but pretty good. I know for me, definitely it's still very slow out there. It's been slow for over a year now. Who knows what's going to happen. I'm just kind of like taking it day by day in my reselling business. But let's go ahead and move on to my 5 best and 5 worst sales of January 2025. So full transparency, 2 of my best sales were actually cameras that I sold on eBay, and I'm not going to include them here because I am definitely primarily a clothing reseller, but I'll just pop up some photos here. These were just old cameras that I had, and when we were cleaning out one of the rooms in our house, we found them. No one had touched them for like 2 years. I asked my husband, do you mind if we resell these? And he said, no, of course not. And because they were older cameras, they sold well and they sold really quickly, but they obviously didn't sell for quite as much as like we initially paid for them, which is, hey, a lot of things. But it was nice just to get that money and clear them out of our lives. So I'm excluding those, and then I'm also on the lower end excluding any books that I resold, because books obviously just don't resell for a lot because they don't retail for a lot. So unless you can find like a very rare first edition or a signed copy of a popular author, you're going to get like $2 to $7 if you're lucky. So those were taken out. This is primarily just clothes and shoes. So looking at my 5 best sales, I am definitely a bread and butter reseller. So these probably will not astonish you by any means, but my 5th best sale was only for $25. This was on eBay. This is a Sundance dress that I've had for a little bit. This was in a size large petite, and it was something that I had marketed as like cottagecore. This was a midi length, and this was actually something that I've had since January of 2024, so it took over a year to resell. So I definitely would not like recommend going out and getting it. Sundance for me is very much so bread and butter. Really only like the shoes and the very heavy like leather or coat do very well, but other than that you're looking at like $20 to $25. So to get $25 for this after a year, even though it was my 5th best sale, I probably wouldn't do anymore. I have definitely gotten more and more selective as my life has gotten busier, because obviously I have less time to list and ship out. So that is I'm glad it sold, but like I wish it would have sold faster for that amount. Then something that did sell very fast, and I know for a fact I could have held out and sold this for more. I honestly only ended up like doubling my money on this because I just accepted an offer very quickly on Poshmark. This is a pair of Sundance leather shoes, and I saw these in my local thrift store, and I saw that they were made in Italy, and that really like flagged my attention. Like, hey, you should look these up. And when I looked up these espadrilles, I saw that they were from Sundance catalog. Like I just said, Sundance catalog does really well in shoes, and so I listed these. I think they had about like 3 likes. I think I had them listed fairly high at like $60. And it was just a slow day, slow month. I got a $26 offer. I think I sent out some other offers to those other 2 interested parties. It had been probably about 2 weeks since I listed them, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna accept the offer. It is doubling my money. It's not great, but I don't want to sit on these for months and months and then regret not just at least doubling my money. So I still think this is a good brand. I think if you're someone who has more patience than me, it definitely can be more lucrative than the sale was for me, but still my 4th best sale of the month. Looking at sale number 3, it was another really fast flip. This is a Wild Fox sweater. This is super distressed. I had mentioned this in another video as well, and it just looked like something that you would have pinned on Tumblr like, I don't know, 5 to 7 years ago. And you know, wear with like very short mini shorts, or even to the point like where you can't, it looks like you're not wearing pants. Like this is like the epitome of Tumblr for me, and I wasn't really sure when I got this if it would still be on trend, but I took a bit of a calculated gamble on it. I had looked up comps. They still looked like they were doing fairly well, and so I got it, and it ended up selling really quickly for $29.40 on eBay. And then I also had some interest on it on Poshmark and Mercari as well, so I guess this certain style of sweater is still very much so sought after. Then I had a men's piece as my 2nd best sale of this month, and I am not someone who like goes and gravitates towards the men's section, although I do know there is a lot of money to be made there. Instead, I found this in the women's section, and when I saw the brand tag Todd Snyder, I thought he was men's only, and when I looked it up, that appeared to be correct. So this was a men's size small sweater. I am a little bit reluctant to pick up men's smaller pieces, but this was so well made. It was lamb's wool, and I had always heard really great things about Todd Snyder. Comps looked like they were still very good, and this sold really quickly again on eBay for $40. And then my best sale of January is something that I have had, I believe, since this summer, but it was not listed. I should have listed this a long time ago. It is a Moschino piece. I actually ended up finding 3 Moschino pieces at once when I found this particular piece. This piece is perfect for Valentine's Day because it has this really cute heart bodice, and this is like a tunic length, but I needed to clean this just because there were a few spots and signs of wear. So it had just been sitting in my reselling room laundry basket, and I was just waiting for like enough things to accumulate for me to throw in a batch of just reseller specific laundry. And I shouldn't have done that. I should have just washed it and done that a long time ago. So when I finally did wash everything, I saw this in there, and I was like, oh my goodness, how embarrassing. I can't believe I've just been sitting on this for months and months and months. Honestly, I think I had forgotten I even got this, but I found this at my local Texas thrift, and because this was like a tunic length, I just priced it in what I thought was reasonable for like $125. I do think I probably could have gotten more for this. I got more for the other pieces, but this one just didn't seem as substantial as the other two pieces, just not as much material, and so it still ended up selling really quickly on eBay for $80.50. This also did have quite a bit of interest on Poshmark as well, so definitely a brand to be on the lookout for, which should come as no surprise because this is a designer brand. Now, looking at my 5 worst sales of the month, I was just really trying to clear out inventory. I am someone who still has over 1,000 pieces of inventory, and I would definitely like to see that number be whittled down to maybe like 800 by the end of the year. I feel like that could be realistic. So I am trying to move a lot of pieces that are older that I just don't think are worth hanging on to for a certain price. So I have been offering a lot of bundle deals. So starting at number 5, my 5th worst, it actually in retrospect wasn't as terrible as you think about it when you think of the whole story. So I actually got this piece this month, and I found quite a few cashmere pieces when I was at my local Texas thrift. And when I got this sweater, I believe I paid like $4 for it, and I had my husband look it over as well. He was thrifting with me, and he didn't see any holes, I didn't see any holes. And then literally as soon as I got home, when I was taking off the store tag and I was putting it into inventory, I realized a gigantic hole on the sweater, and then I also noticed a hole on the hem. So I went out to my husband and I was like, I can't believe we both missed this, but I went ahead and listed this anyway just to try and recuperate my money, and it did sell very quickly for $10. If you ever find cashmere and it is flawed, it still will resell because people can use it for other things, like they could make a scarf out of it, or maybe somehow they can repair it. I am not a seamstress, so I definitely don't know that, but I would just say list it anyway, try and get your money back, and that's what happened here. This sold for $10 and I made about my money back. Another item that sold for $10, this was in that laundry pile that I had. I only paid 99 cents for this. I honestly don't even know when I originally sourced this, but I did list it this month, so it was a fast seller. This was a Free People Movement sports bra. There was like no padding or anything in it, but it was very cute in that it had like a tie detail. And this was just very flimsy, like I said, no padding, not a lot of support, probably more of something that you would wear for like aesthetically than to like high impact workout. This was in a size extra small, and this sold on Poshmark for $10, but it did sell fairly quickly. And then another Poshmark sale. This was something that I've had since March of 2023, so long time coming on this sale. This was a Ann Taylor sweatshirt dress. It was really cute. It had like an eyelet detail on the shoulders, but Ann Taylor, unless you're finding like a very specific, very cute piece, it's just very oversaturated. So unfortunately, this did only end up selling for $9. This was in a size large, which I thought could be a selling point as well. But again, with those mall brands, you just have to be very selective. So at the time, I was definitely picking up more and more mall brands, but this is not something that I would seek out again. Another good riddance, I'm so glad to see it go piece that sold. Again, this was on Poshmark. This is something that I've had since January of 2023, so 2 years to sell. The brand on this is called Paul Smith, which when I had looked it up, it seemed like it retailed for a lot, but the resale on it was just very sporadic, and I decided to pick it up anyway. You know, one of those great choices I had, and this is in a size 6. This is a UK brand, and it was in this really nice mustard color, definitely like a very work appropriate blouse, but you could also dress it down with jeans. So I don't know, I really felt compelled to pick this up, but unfortunately it did only end up selling for $9 2 years later. And then my worst sale of the month came in at $7 on Poshmark. This is a vintage dress. It was a beaded dress. It was very pretty, but unfortunately when I got home, I did realize that there was a rip in the mesh part around the neck. And again, that's just my fault for sourcing too quickly. I did only pay 99 cents for this, and I am definitely very glad that it sold on Poshmark over eBay because with this being a beaded dress, it was definitely heavier, and although I do have the buyer pay for shipping on eBay, I don't think anyone's going to want to pay a good amount on shipping a damaged dress that would be kind of hard to repair just given the fabric and the silhouette. So to see this finally just go and just kind of get my money back on Poshmark, I mean, I couldn't be mad at it. Like, it's definitely something that I would not pick up again. These vintage style dresses, anyway, I've just definitely noticed that they're not selling nearly as quickly or for as much as they were like 2-3 years ago. So just being really cognizant of the trends and what's selling now and not what was selling for me well, you know, when I first started reselling or even a few years ago, and just like really being on top of my research when I pick things up. So those are my January sales numbers and my 5 best and worst sales. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what were some of your best sales, what were some things that you regretted picking up, and if you want to share your gross sales numbers, definitely let me know in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you are not already, please do hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you guys sticking around even with my sporadic posting schedule. See you guys soon.